ask me all the time, why are you starting with Andreas Gursky?
Well, Andreas and I have been talking for over 5 years about doing an exhibition here. And I think his work fits so well with this space because the architecture of the space is very bold, it's adventurous, it has a strong presence. His work is very bold, formally precise. The scale fits the fact that we have very large galleries here, and they've gotten larger since we refurbished them. And most importantly, I think he's really one of the most important artists of our time. And we wanted to open with an artist who's had a major impact and influence on contemporary art and culture.
First of all, I have to say it's not just an exhibition, it's a very huge retrospective. So you have the possibility to follow my work from the very early beginning. I knew the building, but during this dialogue with Ralph, the way the building became very familiar to me. As you see in my images, I have a close interest in architecture by itself, and we decided the whole exhibition where we built the walls, the height, measurements, and now I must say I'm 100% happy about how everything looks here. It was a lot of work, so we installed, I guess, 2 weeks the works. It's very long, normally it's maybe a week, and in a way I feel, of course, honored being the first artist showing here in this space.
Our curating direction isn't going to change, but it's funny because sometimes people think that pictures aren't as interactive or experiential as an installation you walk into, something that's more architectural. But one of the things that struck me when the pictures first came in the gallery and we unpacked them, and they come in very big packages, is that the cleaners who work here were all gathered around these pictures. And I asked them, how are you guys doing? And they said, oh, we're so happy, because we're looking at these pictures. And there's so much to see in these pictures that you can look at them for a very long time. And they engage you in an encounter, which is not a simple, it's not like looking at a photograph on your phone for a couple of seconds. Here you have to really get into the picture. And I think they do offer you a kind of experiential encounter. Well, there are 8 works that have never been shown before that are brand new, including one right behind me, which is a picture actually he took in 2007 but never made a print of an annual gathering in North Korea.
So I visited North Korea twice, as I remember rightly, in 2006 and 2007. And so I guess the works from this time are already known. We made 6 different images. And because this subject matter concerns us right now so much, because in a way North Korea is also the middle of the world, I thought it's maybe a good idea to look back to my archive and produce maybe another work about North Korea. So these are brand new works, and I thought it's the right time maybe to show again a North Korea picture here. This was a very long procedure, so we first tried to get access by German government, but this didn't help, so we didn't succeed. And then by chance my personal assistant found an advertisement in a newspaper, so a very small company offered travel to North Korea, and so my assistant and I, we visited North Korea more or less as tourists, and we had to organize everything in North Korea to get access to the viewpoint from where I took the photographs. But everything went very well, so my personal experience is that so we arrived there were not at all any limitations, so we could move in North Korea, and so I had some catalogs with me and explained the art director from this festival, Arirang, my work, so he was very interested and he gave me the opportunity to do what I wanted.
Do you think one of your photographs of North Korea is hanging somewhere in North Korea?
Not yet. I hope sometime the reunion will come sometime, and if the political situation changes, so it's my wish to make a donation to the North Korean people, because they have quite interesting museums, and but at this time I have to wait.
Andreas has been a well-known figure for over 3 decades now. People think they know his work. And my hope in doing this show is that you will all discover things about this artist that you did not know before. I think he is an artist who not only shows us the world we live in ways that are completely unprecedented, mesmerizing, captivating, and also disorienting. As you walk through the show, I think it's really important to bear in mind that a photograph, the subject of a photograph is not just what it depicts. There's a lot of thought in Andreas's work about how that image is framed, how it's put together. And usually, most of these images, I think, are also metaphors about some aspect of contemporary life today. A cultural attitude, a fantasy, some change in the way we use technology, even to make pictures, about working conditions, the global interconnection of the world. All that stuff, as I'm looking around, just this gallery is here with us in this room. But Andreas is an artist who's able to show you that complexity and also the beauty of this world, while never forgetting that it's a world full of problems at the same time. That's something very few artists I know can achieve, and I think he is someone who has not just reinvented the language of photography, but has reinvented the way we can think about the possibilities of picture making in any format. There are a couple of new pictures in the other gallery. One is called Utah, one is called Tokyo. Both are taken from moving vehicles, and both of them were inspired by photographs he originally took on his iPhone. And they have areas that are blurred. I mean, Andreas's work is famous for its incredible clarity. Everything's in focus. And these pictures, that's not true. So it's a completely different approach, which I find very interesting. And again, it's very much reflecting this moment when every day 1 billion people send pictures from their phones to Facebook. I think there are some very important things, and Andreas was one of a small group of artists who pioneered making very large photographs with incredible formal and technical precision. So that, supposedly the human eye can only really see the detail that you have in a 14 megapixel photograph, which is what most people have on their phones now. These are probably hundreds of thousands of megapixels. So you have an impression that there's more than you can see with your eye. And he once said to me that he thinks photographs are more intelligent than we are. And I think when you look at these pictures, you get a sense of that. There's so much more information there than you can consciously process. Consciously. But unconsciously, we do process it. So there's all of that, but I think the other thing that makes him very special, two things. One is that his pictures work often as metaphors. It's not just about what he's showing you, it's what that subject represents about the world we live in now. The other thing is that there's a sort of a political aspect in this work, and that he's showing you scenes of factories, 99-cent stores to Prada. He's looking at commercial activity, stock exchanges around the world, sports spectacles, things in North Korea. But he's showing you these images with a beauty and complexity that takes you beyond the politics of it. And he's not trying to tell you what to think, but he lets you make up your own mind. But it's always there. You can look at a beautiful image of a river in Bangkok, and from across the room it's a beautiful abstract image. And you get up close and you see all the human garbage and the oil that's in that water. It's an image of a terrible environmental degradation. But they're never simple images. They always have many sides to them. Well, it's funny, Andreas mentioned before that we made the show chronological, but it's only true for the first 3 rooms, and even that's not completely chronological. But I wanted people to get a sense of a change in his work from when he was just using film and there was no digital retouching or editing, and when he began to make work where often the image is put together from several different images taken from different points of view. And so the first 3 galleries show you this earlier work, and then you come to a picture in the stairway of Kodak building. And Kodak now seems like this thing from the distant past when there only was film. And you have to remember when Andreas started taking pictures in the 1980s, there was no such thing as a digital camera. So when you go into the next gallery, you've entered the world of imagery that's changed by playing with the image on a computer and by combining different images into one picture. And the rest of the show is not really chronological, but that's the one dividing point. And for me, the main thing in the show was to get across really the fact that 1, he makes many different kinds of pictures, and 2, that a lot of them are about the act of looking. Here's a picture of a Formula One race right over here, and really a lot of the picture is about how you're looking at it and how the people looking down at the racing teams, what they're trying to see and how they're trying to make their own images of this event. So I think the fact that, our sense of the world is framed so much by the images we now see and send to each other, look at, that a lot of his work is dealing with this idea of what that frame means and how it changes the meaning of a picture. It's a very interesting dialogue that happens. I mean, every artist, in a sense, co-curates a retrospective. Some of them have no interest, and they just go ahead, do whatever you want. They tend to be older artists who've had many retrospectives already. And sometimes it's interesting because I might really like a photograph, and Andreas has decided he doesn't like it that much anymore. And so you're kind of getting in an argument, and the guy who made the picture is telling you, no, it's not really a good picture. But we had a real back and forth, and I think he knew from the beginning that I wanted people to understand the complexity of his art. And, in a way, he can almost be more objective, or just as objective as I am, in that he has no trouble with suddenly deciding, actually, that wasn't a very good picture. And then I'm fighting to get it in the show. I think it worked out very well, you know, and maybe that was some luck, and also that he is someone who was willing to do things a little differently. Well, we're not going to auction off any of these pictures, and I'll tell you the truth, it's really outside of my line of expertise. But what impresses me the most about him is what I was saying before, that people who know nothing about contemporary art can stop and look at these pictures and be completely captivated by them. And people like me, who've worked all their lives with contemporary art, when I suddenly start investigating his work more deeply, realize that there was so many things I didn't realize is happening in these pictures. So hopefully the auction prices reflect that. But a lot of bad things sell for a lot of money at auction too, so I paid no attention to auction prices.